When a kapa dries, it can be very stiff, like a piece of paper or a piece of cardboard, depending on how thick it is. And because this is going to be a blanket, of course I don't want it to have any kind of stiff, so they can wrap the baby around it. So what I'll do to soften up a piece of kapa is pretty much just fold it up like this. If you ever made kapa in school back in the day, like I did in San Diego, they gave us brown paper bags and we color our designs on them, and then we crush it and rub it and crush it and rub it and iron it and do all these kind of things to it. And after a while, that piece of paper became very, very soft. So a lot of times it can take a number of hours to try and do that with a kapa in order to make it nice and soft. The other thing I'll do to soften kapa is I have a couple of stones that are just for this purpose, and I will use them to rub the kapa out. What it does with this little bit rougher stone, this is a piece of dike stone from here in Waianae, is this will help bring the fibers up actually, so it's not so smooth, and it'll help give it an almost flannel type of feeling to it. It'll be very soft. And I just rub it like this. And that'll help. Already you can tell it's got a different kind of feeling to it. This stone, it's a very smooth stone, and it's one I'll use to help flatten it, because you know we have your watermarks and these things make bumps, and which you kind of want in the cloth. But if you ever see the very old cloth, it's almost just perfectly flat, like a piece of flat paper. And so to make sure that you have a good smooth, even printing surface, then you can use that. So after all the crunching, you see it leaves all the lines, then the rubbing it will help take all those lines out and give you a really nice, smooth surface to print with your ohe kapala. So you can see we're getting our kapa all very nice and smooth now. I'm using the rock and rubbing it all out. I have another thing that I really like to use too that gives it a really nice smooth finish. Okay. Yeah. What? You think this is wrong? Nothing wrong with this. Iron, great. Smooths it down, makes it flat. I have it on high. It's okay. It's a piece of paper. The kapa's not going to burn. Don't worry about it. All right. Look at that. That is just about perfect. Yay. Let me give you one more little warning about using the stone on here. Is that if you're not very aware of the thickness of your kapa and how strong it is and which way the fiber is running, or the grain that you beat it, doing this will rip your kapa to pieces. So as you go on, as you get familiar with your kapa, with your work, with what you can actually do with it, and this is a good testing point. You know, if you can rub a rock, and I'm not doing this gently for your benefit. If you can do that and not tear the kapa to pieces, then your kapa is pretty durable. But yeah, just be careful when you're doing this kind of thing. If you know which way the grain's running, it's actually even safer to go that way. This way, this kapa, the trees are going the long way, so it would be a safer thing to go that way, straight up and down with the fiber of the cloth. But because I know this is a pretty strong cloth, it's a blanket, so I meant for it to be strong enough to endure being kind of dragged around, crushed around, or whatever they might do with it. Then I can also rub from the side to side, and it's not going to pull the fibers. Okay, so now we're ready to start actually painting this kapa. This kapa is about 32 42 by 45. First thing I'm going to do is start laying on the colors, and which is going to be my greens and my pink and my mystery color and the little bit of yellow I got inside here. And then when that dries is when we'll do all the printing. So I'll start doing that. We'll check back every so often and see how it's progressing along. Okay, so we started laying some color out here. And, you know, this one of the cool things about ma'o that you'll notice, you see this one's kind of, this side is darker than this side is right now. But what happens is that as it dries, or as it hits the air, it starts to oxidize, or well, maybe not oxidize is the right word, but it starts to change color. The air affects it so that it starts to darken. This side in a little bit will be will be the same colors, the same dyes, and it's going to change some colors. And here's my mystery color in the inside. It's not a mystery because I don't want to tell you what it is. I really don't know. I suspect it was a bunch of dyes that I completely lost track of what color they were. So I threw them all together and boiled them and reduced them down, and it made this very nice kind of tea strength kind of pale brown. That's a good, it's a good backing color. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so you can see we're almost done. Just about getting to the end. There's the final corner there, and you can see the colors here. Still laying them out. Got the pinks on there. Got some of the other tones going on. So I've been working on this for what, a little over 2 hours now, and that's because I'm trying to, trying to do layers, trying to bring the tones up. Now keep in mind, these kind of dyes, it's what they are. They're dyes. They're not paints. So I'm not layering up paint. Some of these effects that are happening here are things that happen between colors sometimes, and Olena is notorious one for, you can put it over a color, it'll practically erase that color. You see these greens going on very light, turning very dark. I toned them back down using my mystery color because this dark, I didn't really want it that dark. So I kind of took it down with that other color, you see that? So, yeah, we just got this corner here, and then by the time that's finished, I'll let it dry and then come back later on to work on the printing part. Okay, so now we're ready to print. The whole kappa has been painted. We've got all our colors on. And then because the wetting the kappa again stiffens it up again, so I had to do the whole crunch and mush and squash thing to make it soft again, and ironed it out to make it flat. So now we're ready to do the printing. I'm going to be using that one Ohikapala with the lines, this one here. I'm going to be printing across here in the pink part, and then printing this way in across the whole thing, and this whole thing is going to be like that on all the lines. So start doing that. Okay, so here we've started the printing. You can see how the colors have, actually I rubbed them down quite a bit after I did printing, because the dark colors are really dark. So I ended up using my stone again. The stone is really handy. It does lots of interesting things. If you want to kind of just soften the tones of things, because when I printed this, it was really, really dark, and now it's kind of better than it was. I like it better. I like it better than it was. And we got these printed on. It gives it quite a bit of a contrast thing going on. So, yeah, I got like 6 more lines to go. It's okay. But looking good so far. Okay, so here's our kappa. It's all finished. I like it. I like the colors. I like the tonal qualities and the blending. It does look like that the bromeliad leaf, the plant that I saw. Just so you know, the printing alone on this piece took probably over 8 hours. I can tell by all the shows I was watching for hours and hours while I was printing. And that's because, again, we used only this one. which would have made all of these little lines. And we used this one to make all our hauke pattern. So yeah, that took some time, plus rubbing it out with the stone, softening it all along the way. The only way to get it really soft is just by using it. And so hopefully they'll wrap it around that baby that it's being made for, and she'll get to wear it, or they'll wrap it around her every year on her birthday. And yeah, so that's some of what's involved when you're going to do a printing. People are always really interested in the printing part of the kapa, because that's the part you see, and sometimes people forget about all the work it took to actually grow the trees, make the kapa, gather the dyes, make the dyes, because these were all, you know, dyes that we had to make and find and gather. So piece came out really good. Good luck on your next big kapa.